10 years ago, family moves into a new house. Great house. Parents couldn't believe how cheap it was. Weird thing starts happening a month after we move in. Hear creaking noises upstairs, like someone is walking around when nobody is there. Dog keeps watching something invisible move around. Always acts nervous when upstairs. Inexplicable puddles of water appear on upstairs bathroom floor overnight. Weirdness starts escalating over the next few weeks. Hear drain in upstairs tub gurgling at night. Puddles on floor get bigger, but we can never find where the water is coming from. Start seeing shadows walk past doorways. See movement out of the corner of your eye, but nothing is there. Dog refuses to go upstairs at all now. Pissed himself in terror and ran when I tried to carry him upstairs one night. Start hearing whispering at night. After a couple of months of this creepy shit, she appeared. Roughly mid-teens, transparent and naked. She would appear at night, but only if you were alone. Never moved, never said anything, just stared at you. Left a puddle wherever she stood. My sister ran, screaming out of the house more than once. Freaked me out too. My parents slept in the same bed, naturally, so they were rarely alone at night, and didn't see her at first. They decide this shit's real and do some research. Ask neighbors, look up records at county courthouse and library, etc. House's original owners had a teenage daughter who slipped in the tub and drowned in the late 80s. They didn't want to be where she died and moved shortly afterward. House went through a series of owners, none lasting more than a year, and finally sat empty for 6 years until we bought it for what we thought was a steal. Decide there's no way we're putting up with ghostly bullshit. Call a priest to do an exorcism. He never believed us, but humored us anyways. Didn't work. See-through girl was still ruining our floors with puddles every night. Called a local psychic. She did a seance. Talked in a fake pirate voice. Then a fake little girl voice. Then demanded money. Kicked her ass to the curb. Tried all kinds of shit we read on the internet. Burning sage, holy water, lemons, etc. None of it got rid of the ghost girl. Eventually decided to just suck it up and live with it. Parents sleep together, so they almost never see her. Sister is always staying at a friend's house when she can manage it. Meaning, I have to sit in my room, alone, all night, with some wet ghost staring at me the entire time. Fun! One night, my sister is at a friend's house, again, and my parents are out late, so I'm home alone. Bored as hell, flipping through channels, trying to ignore Ghost Girl dripping on the floors and staring at me. Suddenly realize I have a naked chick in my room, and if you ignore the fact that she's see-through, she's pretty easy on the eyes. Fuck it. Zip, fap, fap, fap. She vanished right then and there. Never appeared again. No more creepy noises, no more puddles. Not a single sign of ghostly activity. Bitch didn't even let me finish. And that's how I exorcised a ghost from my house. Sam decides to start reading Skinwalker stories. He is doing it just to mess with me, but that knowledge doesn't matter. Midway through the story, we hear a screech through the dark trees. It was probably a fox or owl, but for my impaired mind, it was the Skinwalkers. They were coming for me. My friends were also kinda spooked as well. I was not going to die without a fight though. Remember my days on /K, reading about simple but effective traps laid by the Viet Cong. Lightbulb duck if. I took out my shovel and started digging punchy pits all around our tent. Matt starts making an alarm system out of beer and empty bean cans around our perimeter. Sam decides more light is better than less light. How do you get more light? More fire. Did I mention Sam was a bit of a pyro? He collects a shit ton of wood and makes a fire circle around the tent. The final touch was to wipe the spikes I had previously made with our own shit. Finally, our defenses were finished. We were ready for the attack. Stinks of shit and the smoke is pretty bad, so we all put on our gas masks. No stalker forgets his gas mask. Decide to drink more Soviet liquid courage. Matt starts yelling, "Perimeter breach! Perimeter breach!" at the top of his lungs and starts firing into the forest randomly. Not sure if there actually was a breach, but I wasn't taking chances. Start mag dumping into the darkness. Forest sounds like the Alamo. Blind myself because I'm an idiot. Run out of ammo eventually. Only one mag left. Need to make it count. I fell asleep at some point due to fatigue and alcohol. When I woke up, I finally could appreciate the marvel that we had created. The ranger that woke me seemed less impressed. Stage 4 autism takes over and I say, "Privyet stalker?" Realize I still have my gas mask on, and probably look like a complete weirdo. I get arrested, and charged with a misdemeanor and fined $400 for firing a weapon in a national park, and am forced to fill in my skinwalker defenses. I'm a dog man. Ask me anything. Awoo! Who's a good boy? B19. Walking along a dark country road alone. Suddenly, hear a strange humming sound. A bright light appears, coming at me at quite a speed. Wake up in the middle of the road with a broken leg and cuts all over my arms and back. Has anyone else been violently assaulted by a UFO like that? I mean, I have heard of people getting sick from UFOs and stuff, but never one physically attacking someone. You got hit by a Prius, idiot. Be me, 21. Frequent sleep paralysis. Fall semester. Hallucinated that my roommate had murdered someone and put their body parts in a box. Lights were off, but could see him grinning and whispering for me to look inside the box. His shadow was moving by itself. Told him I couldn't move, so he got very angry and pulled out a saw. His shadow was bouncing from one side of the room to the other. Panicked and shook myself out of it. When I came to, I was still shaken and not in my right mind. Woke him up. Still saw the shadow bouncing from one end of the room to the other. He didn't see anything. He was obviously confused. Spring semester. No roommate. Sleep paralysis almost every night. Always a weird shadow thing. Started taking on its own character. Very sinister and erratic. Worst one. The shadow man wasn't there. Instead, a full-bodied demon was hovering over me. Blue in the face. Smelled awful. It wanted to possess me, but I was quoting scripture and it fled. Moments later, I shook out of it, and a rush of something came over me. Went to turn on the light and wake myself up fully. Turn on TV. Only static. Lights turned back off. I was so freaked out that I actually went and bought olive oil to sprinkle the doorposts in my room. Haven't had an episode since then. Also been here 10 plus years, so here is a story for you. Around 2013, I was at university and spent the summer break at my then GF's parents' house. They lived closer where I was working and they had a lot of room. Her grandpa had passed earlier on in the year, but her house began experiencing your typical ghost hauntings, seemingly out of nowhere, where talking thrown objects, moving items, footsteps, moving shadows, phantom phone calls with static on the other end, full-body apparitions starting to manifest themselves. I was tapped on the head and back on 2 separate occasions. All this started happening around May and just ramped up as summer went on. Be me, hanging out with GF and GF's sister while her parents are out on a weekend trip. Hey gang, let's ghost hunt this bitch. Invite a couple of friends over so we have a group of 5. Set up an area in the basement. Turn the lights off in the entire house aside from a couple of candles. Set up a recorder for EVPs and I download this app for ghost hunting. Gimmicky, but has a built-in EMF detector and comes with a voice box function. It's not your typical voice box that scans through radio channels though. The theory is a spirit can manipulate the device, and it will say a word like a spooky speaking spell. We begin. First 30 to 45 minutes, nothing happens. EMF readings low. App will randomly say words like cookie or shoe every once in a while, but that's it. Suddenly, there is a shift in the air. EMF starts to spike, and the air gets heavy. Hard to explain, but there was just tension in the air and felt weird. Don't say anything about it or the EMF climbing. Just monitor, while others take turn asking questions. GF speaks up. Is it just me, or did the atmosphere change all of a sudden? Do you feel that? Everyone agrees. Friend stands up to go use the bathroom, which is upstairs. Follow his footsteps, and as soon as he reaches the hallway where the bathroom is located, the app speaks, "Hallway." Lots of oh shits, and jokes that my buddy is going to get ghosted. He returns and we continue on. Air is still heavy at this point. "So, how did you die?" App speaks again, like 20 seconds later. "Famine." "You know you're dead, right? Why don't you just move on?" App: "Can't." This continues on for a short period where we're getting responses within 20 to 30 seconds. Some direct answers, some others don't really make sense. Eventually, it slows down and the responses stop. We've been at it for an hour, so we start wrapping up. Once in a while, it'll speak something, like somebody in the group banged their foot on the table, and the app speaks, "Foot." Eventually, we just go on with our night, hanging out, and nothing really happens after that. The house will still have little bouts of activity here and there from what I've heard. We broke up, but it slowed down. But when we were all there, we were always talking about it and thinking about it. I think the more you focus and put energy into whatever it is, just ramps up the activity, like sort of a tulpa. I mean, you have 5 people sitting there intently focusing on this one thing, and then it just blew up all of a sudden. Years later, we were staying the night for a few days. I woke up to my GF shaking and smoking a cigarette out of the window. She was just scared as all hell. Apparently, she woke up to the lights flickering on and off in the room, and she looked over to the far corner and said there was some old man with gray, long, scraggly hair just standing there, and then he disappeared. Like 2 nights later, I woke up to the lights flickering on and off, but I just noped and rolled over and went back to sleep. I was not going to look over and see that fucker standing there. Sleeping nude, as usual. Wake up. Sleep paralysis. Feel stroking against the side of my head. Hear, there, it'll be fine. Feel imbued with power and rage. Suddenly, no longer paralyzed. Launch myself out of bed. Unmute computer. Turn on screen. Techno rocker Rob Maith remix begins blasting at max volume, looping. Grab Flamberg. Pick related. Run all through house, waving sword about while nude, flipping lights on, roaring, "Come out and play, motherfucker!" Did this for about an hour. 5:30 a.m. by the time my rage dies down. Scream, "Fuck yeah!" Turn off lights. Go to sleep. No experiences since. Also, neighbor asks me what the fuck I was doing running around naked with a large sword last night. Ask him why he was watching. He shuts up. Reality glitch thread. Post times where time and space goofed. Be me. Going to bed while staying at grandparents' rural farmhouse as a 10-year-old kid. Not tired at all. 100% lucid. Decide, I'll just try closing my eyes. It's only 9:30 p.m. The moment I close my eyes, it's instantly morning. Literally within the blink of an eye. Brother was in the twin bed next to me, and he disappeared instantaneously. Can smell grandma making breakfast. You what mate.jpg? Never been able to reproduce what happened, or have somebody tell me the same thing happened to them. You fell asleep, you fucking idiot. Me about a year ago. Lifelong nightmares kinda gave me a horror fetish. Coworker tells me he didn't get much sleep. Says voices were keeping him up. Ask him if he means his family was being shit and staying up late. No, he has a big family and they're all crowded in a house. Says no. Says it was more than that. Keep pressing him to tell me what it is. He says there's some kind of entity or monster that lives in his room. Think he's fucking shitting me. He's serious. Demand more info from him. Claims that his room is haunted. Specifically, it's centered around his closet. Tells me at night he hears voices and they sound clear enough, like they're talking to him. Says he suspects it's a succubus cause it seems to be a female. Harassed his GF, and he felt pressure on his chest before. Fast forward about a week. Party at his house. Start talking about ghost stories. I ask him about the closet again. He reiterates that it's haunted. His friends back him up. Say I brought my rosary with me. Carry it everywhere. Tell him, let's do an impromptu exorcism. He decides, sure, why not? Opens the closet. Looks like a normal fucking closet. Explains to me that every time it's been broken, whoever broke it ends up breaking a lip somewhere down the line. Friends also back him up there. Whatevs. Start praying the rosary. Don't feel nothing. Coworker starts freaking out. Says he's feeling some bad energy. All things considered, according to exorcists, that means his house is haunted by demons, alright. Says we should stop. Tries to close the closet door. It stays stuck open. Says he can't sleep when it's open. Slams himself against it and tries to force it closed. It breaks. He starts freaking the fuck out. Eventually, after a few minutes, his friends and I fix the closet door. He starts to calm down. Have some drinks after. Says his house was built on native land or something. I tell him he should honestly get a priest if it's that bad. Still, I didn't feel anything. Get in my car. Say a prayer to Saint Benedict beforehand, just in case. Start car. Begin to drive off. It's pitch black out and pretty close to the desert. Live in SoCal. Turn on radio. It's some ungodly noise. It's set to the classical station. I listen to that normally. This is just some insane shit. Sounds like a combination of howling and instruments being played in slow motion. Other stations are just static. Sounds vaguely tribal. Kinda spooked. Look at GPS because the freeway I'm on seems unfamiliar. Tells me to do a U-turn in the middle of the freeway. Weird. Get off at the next exit. Try to follow its new instructions. Leads me back to my coworker's house. Check to make sure my address is correct. It should be leading me back to my house. Try it again. Start driving. Pitch blackout. No other cars on the road. Try the radio again. It's been quite a few minutes now. Still horrifying ungodly sound on the classical station. Look at GPS. It's telling me to take a hard right on a fucking freeway. Literally into a wall. Then it changes and tells me to go back again. Really spooked now. Eventually, turn off GPS. Look at sign. Decide it's better to drive to fucking Los Angeles, which I'm familiar with, so I can find roads I'm used to, and get home, than trusting this fucking thing. Music seems louder, kind of reminiscent of a stampede coming towards you now. Mutter a few Ave Marias under my breath. Phone's GPS turns on again. Could have sworn it just says, turn around, in that text-to-speech voice. Say, fuck it. Shove phone into my pocket. Pull to the side of the freeway. Open glove box. Remove Eurobeat CD. Shove it into my CD player. Gas, gas, gas starts playing. Take advantage of the empty freeways to slam my foot on the gas. Roll down windows. Cool night air rushing through my hair. Yell as loud as I can. Fuck you, demon fucking slut. Entire car ride is me switching between swearing at a demon and muttering prayers I know. Hold to the side of the road. Make the sign of the cross one last time. Ask God for protection and say the prayer to Saint Michael, the Archangel. Finally, say aloud that if some demon bitch follows me home, I will not stop fucking with her. I'm talking spritzing holy water everywhere, and constant prayers of the rosary. I also remember what exorcists say about demons. Say she's just a bitch who can only act with God's permission, and he can withdraw it at any time, that she has already failed. Say, leave and never bother me or my friend again. Take out CD. Turn to classical. It's back to classical music. Other stations work too. Sleep soundly. Find out days later, my friend managed to get most of the activity to stop by threatening the bitch that he'd burn down his house just to spite her if he kept it up. All in all, it went well. Storytime X, this shit is all true. B20. In college in Colorado. Live near foothills. Lots of cool wooded areas to drive through that aren't too far from campus. Have friend, Simon, who is pretty into drugs. Occasionally, he'd ask me to do shrooms with him. One time he asks me, tell him I don't feel like doing them, but I'll babysit him and just smoke weed or whatever. He says, that's cool. Get a group together one Saturday and drive up to Flatirons, pack in a bag of shrooms and a shit ton of weed. 5 of us total. Me, my friend Ian, and a girl I was into at the time, Sarah, are babysitting. Simon and our friend Kian are the ones doing shrooms. Park cars in one of those hiking area parking lots. No other cars. Seems pretty deserted. Middle of the day. At first we thought that was good, but then Ian checked the weather forecast and said there was a chance of rain. Our dumbasses didn't check the weather before doing this. Too late now. It's still pretty nice out at this point. Only like 2 p.m. So we head up into the hiking trail and go until we find a nice open area. We are literally 5 minutes from the car. Figure we don't have to go far, considering it doesn't look like anybody will be hiking here anyways, and we're at a pretty remote place. The babysitters start smoking out of the pipe, and the other two discuss how they are going to eat the shrooms. Literally, right as Keegan pops his shrooms, Simon remembers he left his phone in the car. Keegan was a first-timer, so he was kind of paranoid and just wanted to stay where he was. I offer to go with Simon to the car. He just says it's cool, just chill and he'll be right back. We all don't really think much of it because we're not too far from the car. Me, Ian, and Sarah are smoking, and Keegan is just chilling, waiting for the shrooms to hit him, laughing it up. 10 minutes later, Simon still hasn't come back. After about 20 minutes, we realize he should be back by now. Sarah considers going and looking for him. He probably just had to take a dump or something. We keep smoking. Start to worry a little. I'm about to go to the car to find him. 30 minutes after he left, we finally see him come up the trail, walking super slowly, like he was being really careful where he stepped or something. Doesn't say anything as he approaches. We kinda interrogate him. He says he just got his phone, nothing else. We can't get more than 10 words out of the guy, and he's usually the most talkative motherfucker I've ever known. Like, literally everything was a one-word response, or a shrug, and he doesn't smile at all. Kind of just go, fuck it, because Keegan is starting to feel his trip, so we turn our attention to him. Simon no longer seems to have an interest in the shrooms. Keegan is acting hilarious, describes shit he sees to us, laughs at everything, fascinated by tree bark and shit. We are all laughing like idiots at him. All but Simon. I don't really bother asking him if he's going to take the half bag of shrooms. I just kinda figure he started feeling sick or something. It's been about an hour and a half now, and the overcast is getting heavier. Probably gonna rain soon. Me and Ian are discussing where we could go inside with a tripping Keegan, when Sarah just screams really loud and points out a tree a little ways away from us. What the fuck? Why are you screaming, bitch? She says she saw some huge furry animal go behind the tree. None of us believe her since we didn't hear or see shit. She says it moved totally silently, but she swears she saw it. Ian and I are kind of calling bullshit, but all of a sudden, Simon starts saying we should go check it out. You fucking serious? We all really want to leave now because of the coming rain, but Simon keeps insisting we go look at whatever the fuck Sarah saw. We kind of argued about this for what seemed like an absurdly long time. He kept saying we should go look, but not giving a good reason why. We said it was probably a bear or something that can maul us, and he would just say it won't hurt us. I remember very specifically him saying that it wouldn't hurt us. He seemed so confident about that, like he already knew what animal it was or something. Keegan is pretty much not moving from his little spot, and we can't just leave him there. I am pretty high at this point too, and don't really want to move either. Ian is finally like, alright dude, if I go over there and check it out with you, can't we just go? Simon agrees, and the two of them go out and kinda leave our view in our little clearing as they go towards the tree Sarah pointed out. We lose sight of them, Keegan is seriously noping out, like on the verge of tears and tripping really bad. Sarah's trying to calm him down. My phone rings, which startles the fuck out of all of us, and I pull it out. It's Simon's phone calling me. What the fuck? Answer it and hear his voicemail message immediately. You know, like the message that would play if I called him and he hadn't answered. I swear on my life that I didn't pocket dial him or anything. It was an incoming call and my ringtone was going off and everything, but his voicemail message played. Seriously, what the fuck out now? Hang up and start calling Simon and Ian's names. They don't answer. Feel raindrops coming down. Trees aren't giving that much cover. Suddenly, hear a weird moaning sound coming from the direction that they walk towards, not too far away from us. Kinda like a dog whimpering at first, but then it got louder and louder until it was on full wail. Sounded like something laughing, like a cackling noise. Kind of like a kick, but in no particular cadence. Okay, time to leave. Sarah and I have to lift Keegan up. He's pretty much in hysterics now. Start running towards car. I try calling Ian as we run. His phone is off or dead. We get to the car. Keegan gets in the back seat, seriously tripping out. Sarah is trying to calm him down. I'm outside the car, looking for any sign of the other two. See them only about 2 minutes later, coming down the trail. Except they're both doing that super slow walk now, and both seem way too calm. When they finally get to us, I ask them what the fuck happened and if they heard that noise. Both of them say they didn't hear anything. Both of them say they didn't find anything. Both of them deny calling me or receiving a call from me. They answer every question with 1 or 2 fucking words, and they don't seem to be fazed by the fact that the other 3 of us are freaked the fuck out. It's starting to really rain, and we were out in the open, so I just really want to go home, so we all get in the car. Ian and Simon sit next to each other in the back and barely talk on the ride back. Pretty silent overall. Keegan is huddled up, still tripping. I take us back to campus and tell everyone I'll just take them home and watch Keegan by myself for a while until he comes down, which would be hours from now. Simon and Ian both want to stay with us. They don't say fucking shit besides that they don't want to be taken home. They want to stay with us longer. I tell them I just want to go home at this point, coming down from my high. Sarah agrees. In the end, I agreed to drop them both off at Ian's apartment. Thought it was weird that Ian didn't want to go home. He and Simon were never that great of friends. Had never been there before. Need directions. Ian is being super fucking unhelpful, like he doesn't know where his own apartment is. I end up having to use my smartphone to navigate where I am. Notice that neither Ian or Simon take out their smartphones the whole time. Finally, find the place, and they all get out without saying shit. Don't even thank me or anything. Sarah and I kind of have a huge freakout after they are all gone, and discuss how surreal the whole thing was. Discuss how Ian and Simon weren't acting like themselves at all, and make sure that the noise we heard wasn't just our imaginations. We both heard the exact same thing. Both describe it as cackling. Didn't sound human at all. Here's the kicker. Later, after I drop Sarah off, find Simon's phone in the front seat. On the way there, he was in the front. On the way back, he was in the back seat. In other words, he never got his phone from the car when he went back for it. Check phone call record. Outgoing call to me. I still have Simon's phone, and he hasn't made any attempt to contact me to get it back. This all happened a couple weekends ago. I figured maybe he was busy with finals and stuff, but now finals are over, and he still hasn't said a word to me. I'm kinda scared to give it back to him. I'm friends with his roommate who tells me that Simon is barely ever home anymore. He's always at Ian's apartment. Like, he'll just leave and sometimes won't come back until the next day, and then only for a few hours. When asked, he just says he's hanging out at Ian's. I'm really freaked out /X. What the hell happened to my friends? Try calling Ian from Simon's phone and check up on what they're doing. Okay, so I tried this, and something weird happened. I called Ian's phone from Simon's phone, and I got Simon's voicemail message. When I call Ian's phone from my phone, I don't get anything. It just goes straight to voicemail. That's a little strange. Either way, neither of them are picking up. A commando fucks something spooky. Be me, 21 years old. My one popular black friend invites me to some in a woods rave. He's the drug dealer of our dorm. Carrying Gramps 1911 because I thought that some guy high on PCP would try to kill me. Also, /K 3 spooky 5 me threads. Middle of the night, full moon. Everyone but me is at least doing weed. I brought Stalagnia because Maslavness, but I never drank any of it. I look around for someone to talk to because everyone else is higher than a plane and listening to shitty rap. Minute later, see a girl that looks pretty sober sitting on a log near the edge of the camp. Brunette, kinda French looking. 7 out of 10 would still bang though. Weird as fuck clothing, like we travel back to the 60s. Whatever, go sit by her. She's incredibly socially awkward, like 10 times worse than me. She also had a really thick French accent. Talk about where she's from. She's from Quebec. Start talking to her in French. I'm pretty good at it, by the way. She asks what my address is. I tell her the full address because my penis is starting to do the talking. When I tell her that, she does this thing where she cracks her neck by rolling about. Don't really think anything of it because I have OCD and do that sometimes. She asks me if I want to come into the woods and kiss her. Being a kissless virgin at this point, I'm okay with this. Leads me a mile in a woods. Get that coppery smell like in chem class, melting magnesium in acid water. Only sound is a nearby waterfall. Weird and kind of annoying because of my tinnitus. Start kissing. Really awkward. I pull away. She asks me, "What's wrong?" I tell her it's nothing. She tells me she can be anything you want. At this point, I think she's a trans friend. Think in my mind, for a millisecond, how much better it would be if I were fucking this 10 out of 10 Ukrainian I found a picture of somewhere. Say no thank you, and walk back to camp. I hear, "Wait," in this cute little Russian accent. I turn around. It is exactly what I thought of. Pick very fucking related. Now at DEFCON 1. Reach down and touch my 1911. Dick is 2000% erect though. My dick convinces me this might actually be worth dying for. My brain actually agrees. Have the best sex of my entire life. Nothing has been able to come close to that. Snuggle in the leaves for like half an hour and just talk about drugs and Russian music. She says she has to leave and just walks across the stream, butt ass naked. I just murmur an, "Okay." I look for my clothes, but as I put on my clothes, I notice that her clothes and my 1911 have just vanished. Fuck. Walk back to camp. Use the belt method to CC my boner. Stare into the fire the entire night, wondering what the fuck just happened. Wake up the next morning. Best friend asks what happened after I went into the woods with the girl. Basically tell her everything directly before it shapeshifted. Doesn't believe me. That's good. Buy an airshit 1911 until I can get another real one to try to fool my mom. A week later, still can't get my mind off what happened. A few nights, I had a nightmare that became way too spooky for me. At home, my mom goes to AC for a job-related reward. Listening to Vera Lynn. Hear knock on the door. Figure it's the pizza guy. It's the girl. She says politely, "Hey, it's Kayusha. Do you remember me from last weekend?" Decide it's best not to tempt fate a second time. Slam the door, dynamically nope the fuck up to the attic. Burn some printer paper, smother some 30-06 rounds in the ash, load up Gramps' M1, stay in the attic the entire night, cradling my M1. What exactly did I see there? It doesn't really match anything I've heard about before or since. I'm now pissed at myself for noping the fuck out of there. Every girl I've met after that, I've ended up hating. I'm seriously debating going back into those woods and looking for it. And I want my Gramps 1911 back. Also, I wasn't wearing a condom when I fucked it. Does that mean anything? B. Skinwalker. Human man comes into my home with a bunch of other obnoxious humans. But he's really nice. He's the only one who paid any attention to me and treated me like a friend. I wanted him to be my first. I ask him if he wants to spend some time alone. He says yes, and I feel so elated. When I can't hear the other humans anymore, I start kissing him. His lips felt like they were made for me. He pulls away, and I'm scared that I went too fast or was too bad of a kisser. Maybe this form wasn't good enough for him? I read his mind and become his fantasy. Maybe then he would love me enough to spend more time with me. He comes back, and I feel so happy. I finally found a man who would be my husband. I hope I'm not getting ahead of myself. We make sweet love, and he takes away my virginity. He was so gentle and considerate. It truly was the most special moment in my life. We snuggle for a bit afterwards, enjoying each other's company, but suddenly he starts getting nervous. I ask him what's wrong, and he just says he needs to go. He quickly puts his clothes back on and runs away. He forgot his gun. It seemed very special to him since his scent was all over it. Luckily, he told me where he lived. It took me a while to get there on foot, but I managed to pay him a visit and return it back to him. But he slammed the door in my face and wouldn't answer it anymore. What did I do wrong, /monster? He was my first love, and he's breaking my heart.